Hello, everybody. My name is Cory Engelhart. I'm the owner of Quantum Creations, and this is the first episode of the Quantum Leap podcast, where I'm going to be sitting down having conversations with entrepreneurs, business owners, creators, visionaries, artists, people who have unique perspectives and philosophies about life itself. And I want to dive deeper into the psychology and the perspectives of those people, like why they do what they do, what makes them tick, what inspires them on a day-to-day. And today I have my first guest. His name is Michal Furmaniak, and he is a friend of mine and also a bit of a serial entrepreneur. He stays behind the scenes, so I'm honored to have him making his first podcast appearance with me as we kick off the Quantum Leap podcast. So Michal, please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are and what it is that you're working on. And yeah.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. This is my first, and I am excited to have a forum and an opportunity to share my story and really dive into some creative thoughts and share them with others. So, Cory, thank you for having me here today. My name is Michal Furmaniak. I am a developer, real estate-oriented, hospitality-oriented, entrepreneur and investor, and a couple other things in between there. Over the years, have done a transition from a corporate background and have moved into a very broader, I would say, maybe a good way to put it, entrepreneurial spirit of business. My partner and I, his name is Michael Chowchowski, have done every single business together over the last decade or so, along with some amazing people that we've met along the way, and have started with real estate about a decade ago. And since then have really jumped into a couple different and super exciting and innovative things that we love doing and partaking in and have shaped where we are today. So I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. And the road has not been the easiest in many ways because there's no roadmap. But like today, this is totally new. And it's a challenge to say, hey, come on in, try something completely different than what you're used to. I love that notion. And you figure things out and you meet some amazing people and you see where it goes, man. Open some new doors and yeah, just be ready for some new opportunities.
So for you, coming from a corporate background, like what inspired you to actually go against the grain and like start doing your own thing?
I think that's a great question because the motivation was really the inspiration to have more of my own thing, whatever that meant at the time. And I really didn't know what that was. My biggest focus mentally, that is, was how do I create more freedom? How do I create more freedom for myself to have the time to do the things that I want? And I thought I knew what those things were, and they started shaping or taking shape over the course of time, much more as I rediscovered myself. You know, it was a tough transition to go from a very heavy corporate aspect for a long time, and I'm not that young, you know. I feel like my thought process in my 20s was one, and my 30s was different, and then now that I'm in my 40s is much different. No, those 2 decades, but taking shape because of the experiences over time. So I really felt motivated to just have more control for my own time and then figuring out ways that I could do that while doing things that I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like an easy discovery, like, hey, I know exactly what I want to do and how to get there. It was definitely a process.
And how do you find the fine line between the motivation to do those things and the inspiration?
I think work in progress is probably a good answer. Maybe not a final solution or the magic word for that. Definitely more of a work in progress. But a lot of things have happened over the course of the last decade in my life. Business is one. Personal is another. I have 4 kids now. 10 years ago, I did not have 4 kids. Mm-hmm. So the decision processes have shaped and developed over that course of time a lot more than I even realized in hindsight. So I think having a goal is important. You know, maybe to summarize, a briefer answer, finding the goal and a fulfillment, like a reason behind that goal. So like, having a goal of like, hey, I want to make more money, or having a goal of I want to have my own business, or having a goal that I want to attain a position, or again, I'm sticking more with like business kind of goals. But what does that mean? Like, what is the purpose of that? What is the real motivation of that? Like, what gives you the satisfaction of achieving those goals? Has become more important to me than initially thinking, hey, I want to just achieve the goal. I think it was difficult it was important to realize that having a goal makes a difference versus just moving in a direction, whatever that is. Then the next layer of the thought process was, what is the meaning behind that goal? So like, great, I'll get to that goal, or I'm going to work hard to be able to attain that goal. But why? And I think that why has become much more important, and it's becoming more and more of an impact in my decision-making process today on personal and business fronts.
Got it. And so when you kind of come back to that why yourself with 4 kids, a family now, a business partner, multiple businesses, locations kind of all around New Jersey, right? So it's like, what is that why for you now when you're making those decisions? I mean, obviously it's not universal across everyone. Sure. But what is it that like drives you to make those decisions and to set those goals?
Kids have definitely become a bigger part of it. So I think the longest term, maybe I'll start kind of in reverse order. My long term is that I would look at what would be something that could add value to their life in the future. So maybe like a legacy component in some ways that has a lot of value and a growing value for me. Real estate is a great example of that in the sense that, an asset base can be something that they can in some way receive and or be responsible for somewhere down the road that could impact their life and help them have some additional flexibilities and options to do things that they want to do because of the opportunity to own and operate and so forth. And that is something that I think can live for a long time with them beyond my ability to be present and provide. And that has become an important component in my decision-making process. And then I kind of start working my way backwards. So like if I want to do some of the bigger things and then like long-lasting things for my kids, again, like the next generation, what do I want to do that's shorter term? And it has to provide 2 things. One, a level of satisfaction and fulfillment that I'm happy, proud, and excited about. And then the other, at least at this level, in my life and so forth, has to make sense financially too. I try to bring it back to like a grounded level where it's not just about having fun, but it doesn't just have to do with dollars and cents. So I try to put myself in a position, if something's giving me satisfaction, if the people I'm interacting with are people I want to interact with and I want to spend time with and share in the ups and the downs with, because that's kind of part of the process too. And I'm really excited about the accomplishments of the things related to that endeavor, related to that challenge, related to that new project, then that's something that checks off a big box for me. And it should be profitable in a sense that it's sustainable. The level of that profitability, that's very flexible, I think, as long as the other component comes into play, meaning that satisfaction, that fulfillment, you feel good about it. And I try to make decisions that allow us to combine the both, with that. And that's kind of where I'm going more in that direction, I think, in many ways, and learning in the process. And luckily, we've been, my partner and I have met a lot of amazing people. Some things have worked out tremendously. Some things perhaps have been a little bit more challenging. But there's always been a takeaway of meeting really interesting people, really great people, learning about what works, what doesn't work, and trying to kind of fine-tune to make life a little simpler in some ways, not overcomplicating it, and being open to learning more about yourself in the process and so forth, and focusing a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting you brought up like the why and things too. It's like I've been realizing recently, in the beginning, when we start doing our own business thing, like the only thing that was on my mind is like, how can I make money? It was like, how can I make money? How could I get somebody to give me $500 at that point? It seemed like a lot of money. It's like, but I've learned over the last couple of years, it's like, how can you give value to people, right? It's like, and it seems like what you're doing is like the why behind what you want to do is like, you want to give value to your family. You want to give value to the people and clients that you're working with, the community and the hospitality space that you're working in. So that's that. It's a beautiful thing when you can put your time, energy, and attention into something that is like bigger than yourself, right? And it's like you at this point, you have a team around you. You have people that are helping you bring that to life. You have these ideas, and I'm sure it's probably a bit surreal to see what some of those ideas actually come to life in front of you without like your constant pen to paper and effort. So like, what is something that you do to actually like when you say this is the idea and this is why I want to do it, how do you then take that idea and like impart it to other people and like and allow that idea to come to life?
Supporting people, I think, is more of my goal in many ways, in a sense where, I realize what my talents are and my strengths may be. Certainly realizing that I have weaknesses, in different areas as well, that I can't be the best at everything. But in those situations, I really want to surround myself with people who are much better than I am at those things and give them more trust, more support to do what they do very well. And as we scale, so like, we own multiple businesses, right? We have a hotel, we have a range of portfolio on the real estate, commercial, multifamily, residential, multiple states. We do development. We have several restaurants. A great partner of ours, Robbie Duran. We partnered up with him a couple of years ago on an Almost Home brand that he created, and he is just a creative mastermind in many ways. His brain works totally differently than mine. But that is a tremendous value to be able to combine certain forces and learned a lot from him. So like a whole aspect of a different hospitality than like a hotel, that we've done for many years now is like a restaurant side of things. And with several other partners that bring a whole other level of operational experience and so forth. You learn all these kind of things and you're like, wow, this is meaningful and exciting and satisfying, but you can't do it all. So maybe there's ways that you could actually succeed more by giving up some of that control and realizing that people around you should have the opportunity to grow and excel, and that can only provide you with more value. It's not easy to let go. And I think as we scaled and grew a couple different businesses, our focus has been on not micromanaging things, because then that time consumption is so limited, right? It's more of building a foundation and then empowering others around you or working with them in a collaborative manner as much as possible to see that scale. Because I would 110% say that the biggest asset that we have today is time. I couldn't even think about that in my 20s. My 30s, maybe sometimes, but now that is the biggest asset by far, more than experience, more than financials, more than connections, is the time. Now, all those other things you could rank, at different levels, but you can't be everywhere. So if you really want to succeed and do multiple things, do new things, and really grow, you need to have amazing people with you. And I think we've gotten a lot better at doing that. I've gotten much more comfortable at sharing and passing on and empowering and not being so controlling in many ways, and trusting the process that it doesn't have to be my way, but it could still be great. And working together with people, not working for people, in many ways. And that has allowed us to really scale and grow and own, more than a dozen different businesses that we're in, versus having one that we really, really focus on as a full-time job, as a full-time commitment, as a full-time business. And that has given us a lot of satisfaction to be able to do more with amazing people rather than be more closed off and everything becomes dependent on myself or my partner. You know, it's a growing process to really come to that realization and more than that, like being more than okay with it, like looking to see how can we add value to other people by doing things with them and seeing that success kind of be mutually shared at that point, you know, just at different levels, depending what the project may be.
Mm-hmm. And how do you find you being able to lead those people and you being able to facilitate that? How do you keep people inspired? Because I think a lot of times, like, employees, generally the narrative, like corporate employees, is like they feel undervalued, they feel unmotivated, right? And it's like, I'm sure for yourself coming from that background, you probably don't want people to feel like that. So it's like, how do you want the people that are working with you and your team to buy in? How do you keep them inspired?
Leading by example, I would say it's probably my top, list or item on the list. And again, that could be a range of different ways that you would do that. You know, hey, I'm going to do it myself. Let me show you how I'm going to do it. But I think the work ethic is really more, what I would define that as leading by example. Working hard. You know, I think today's generation of younger, 20-year-olds often doesn't account for the fact that you really have to put the effort in to get the output, that it's maybe easier in their heads to achieve those goals than reality really is. And that's good to have the confidence. I think it's great to have the dreams. I think it's important to have the goals, but you still have to put the effort in. So if you put that hard work in and you lead by example of doing the extra or saying, or doing what you say, whatever that may be. Hey, I'll have this ready for you. I'm going to support you. I will complete this. I will try it. I'm not afraid to do something. Whatever those things are, but you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do that. I think that firsthand is much better than any demanding or requirement or expectation of anybody, because we definitely look for people who are good at what they do, whether it's a partner that's better than us at certain things and we could combine the forces, or employees that are just passionate about something or just very committed or wanting to learn something with different levels of experience. We could learn both ways. But if they see that you put the extra effort in, that you care, that something is important to you, and they could learn those intangibles in many ways, then I think the skill sets we could practice together, et cetera, but that is a foundation or formula for like really cultivating somebody to find the best version of themselves and excel, like naturally doing 110%. And that's where you start really building a team and growing a team that is just unbelievable. Magic can happen. So yeah.
I find it fascinating. The idea of creating an organization of people all committed to like one goal is like fascinating to me. How you get people on the same wavelength. And you kind of touched on in the last, and what you're talking about, I've been reading and listening and studying this book by a guy named Dan Sullivan, if you're familiar, called Who Not How. And essentially the principle is that you need to have who's to do all the things that are outside of your zone of genius rather than figuring out how to do it yourself, right? And it's the principle of the book is like getting an amazing team of people around you, yes, leading by example, but also like being able to hand the stuff off and trust and be able to relinquish some of that quality control or the micromanaging and stuff like that. And I've just gotten to the point now, I have 2 people on my team with my business, which is like, I feel a big step in the right direction for where I'm at, right? I'm 24 years old. I've been doing this for 2 years and change now and just putting in effort, right? Constantly. How is it that you really like share with those individuals, like the values that you want to instill in them? Because like, obviously there's like a common set of values probably across your company. Your partner and yourself probably are on the same wavelength. And like, is that's something you might have discussed in the past? And is that something that's like a common theme and like what you're doing is like mission and values? Is that important in the organization that you're leading?
Definitely. I think treating people with respect is tremendous. to make sure that everybody, no matter what the position may be or the situation or even like a collaboration. I think it's incredibly important to have the same level of respect for somebody. If you make somebody realize that they are valued, if you make somebody realize that they bring something to the table, that you need them and you want the best of them, so this way you could do something better together, most people, I think, find that to be something that then gives them that extra oomph, extra confidence, willingness, or desire to try, to move forward in the right direction. Simple concept we probably all heard, 1% better every day. Like, you don't have to do some miraculous magic, but just be consistent. Be consistent with that. And try to help people along the way. And that comes in all different shapes and sizes. But if you could give back and people see that you're doing things open-minded, that you listen to them, that you want their input, that you are putting the extra effort yourself, that you're not, shying away from the difficult things, that you're there to listen to them. Sometimes even something as simple as that is, extremely important in a particular situation, and it allows somebody to feel heard. I think the small ways of just interacting, communicating, and leading by example allows people to really feel appreciated, feel more confident in themselves, and being more willing to learn and commit more to that. Hence, you learn more about the business, you learn more about what the goals are of that business, and sharing in that common goal, right? Because if I do something by myself, whatever it may be, I'm only one perspective. I only have so many hours in the day. I only have so much ability to make that happen. But if you add one more person, you just double that. If you add two more people, you just triple that. And if those people start adding their perspective and their hunger and their desire, magic can happen, really. And no matter what it is, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the other people that I did things with or shared with them, learned from them in different ways. Even if it was difficult situations and challenges, we figured it out one way or another and all learned from it. And celebrating the highs and the lows is massive when you could share it. If it's by yourself, it's just kind of comes and goes, and you don't really, I don't think you get as much fulfillment out of it. But if you could share that, it's tremendous. And then really just so much more magic happens when it's a collaborative effort. So, maybe a long-winded answer on that, but I'll kind of touch upon one thing before. You asked me about, more of a collaborative component. Like, how do you decide what to do, and how do you do so many different things successfully? I don't think there's a magic game plan that I had at any point in time. It's more of a focus on one thing at a time, to really put the effort in and work very hard at it, to then be able to grow and find a massive satisfaction or fulfillment in that, and or a lesson to be able to expand on it and move on to more of that, and or something perhaps that's spawning off of that, whether it's a relationship you connected and something you could build with that, or another idea, or a little bit more confidence, or an open door that would be open, but maybe you created that opportunity and the confidence to walk through it. That's a big part of, I think, growth overall, because to have a master plan of we're going to achieve this, I would say even impossible for anybody, because you just never know where you're going to be down the road based on so many different things that happen in between. But if you have a goal and you work your butt off to really try to get as close as you can to it, and you enjoy that road with a lot of hopefully amazing people along the way, doors will open, opportunities will open, and you will have the confidence to walk through them and try them out. And then I think even more magic and satisfaction comes back tenfold, especially if you could give back in the process of hey, what can I add value to other people? Because you mentioned that before, and I think that's tremendous. How can I add value? What can I do for somebody else? And if that comes back to me, we're all going to benefit, in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Are you a believer in karma?
1,000%. 1,000%. I think good karma comes back. I think bad karma comes back. And I think you should act, to do what you feel wholeheartedly is valuable to you, whether somebody sees that or not. Do what you can look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm proud of the person I am. I'm proud of the decision I made, difficult or not. That is more important. And for the right reasons, it will pay off. One way or another, whether you're going to have that confidence, that satisfaction, maybe you'll impact somebody's life in one way or another in a good way. There's just so many things that could happen if you just stay true to the integrity and the values that you have. Yeah.
Do you have any regrets in the journey of business or life, family? Is there anything you regret?
I would never use the word regret. Maybe in hindsight, I would have made different decisions in some situations, but being more pragmatic and like black and white, my personality is so black and white, for the good or the bad, that if I did that, maybe I wouldn't have moved in the direction that I did, and hence wouldn't be able to reflect on it or have that experience. So no, I'm happy and proud of where I am today. So for that reason, I would say I have no regrets in a sense. Would I learn from those decisions and make different decisions going forward? I'm sure I could find a dozen examples of things, but not a regret situation, not at all.
Now, was there any failures that you've had in business that you've learned a big lesson from?
For sure. And failures, I guess, could come in different ways. Some could be financial. Hey, we invested X and we lost Y. Okay. It could be something where we committed to something and tried it and spent a lot of time doing it and just realized, what, this wasn't what we thought, or this is not the opportunity that is meant for us, or, maybe this isn't going to turn into what we hoped it could for one reason or another, and we spend the time doing it. But if we didn't take the chances, we wouldn't have the successes. There's a gentleman by the name of Mark, and I cannot recollect his last name right now, but he's one of the co-founders of an event called 29029. Him, Jesse Itzler, and another gentleman, again, I'm terrible with names, unfortunately. I always have to poke my wife, and she remembers every name possible. But I had the privilege of being at a 2929 event with my wife, my partner Michael, and his wife. A couple of years ago, we went to Vermont, and we climbed Stratton Mountain. We had to climb it 17 times until the elevation matches at 2929, which stands for Mount Everest elevation. You have 36 hours to do it. Group of about 250 people. Very intense. Sounds really easy. Man, it wasn't that easy. We barely made it. Within minutes to spare. Amazing achievement. Fantastic experience. Met some incredible people out there from all different walks of life, different ages, etc. And a very motivated group of people that just wanted to do something different to challenge themselves, right? Whether they finished or didn't finish, this, that, another. Super interesting. And one of the founders, gentleman Mark, was there for an opening meet and greet speech. And he had a part of his speech resonated with me, very, very much so. And I go back to it often in my head. He mentioned something to the effect that most people have a fear of change or failure. Like, hey, why don't we do this? No, because something bad could happen, or that's difficult, or I'm not ready for it. Hey, let's have a baby. It's not a good time. It's never a good time. It's never a good time. But the magic, it's always going to be there, and you'll figure it out because it's just what happens. Hey, let's start a business. oh man, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if I lose the money? What if I embarrass myself? What if I make the wrong decisions? You will. But at the same token, you're going to have the opposite flip upside of that. I'll fail today, but I'll seek to succeed tomorrow. I'll lose some money. I'll invest some money, hopefully, and maybe I'll make some. I'll be embarrassed. I'll make myself proud. Maybe I'll make other people proud. I'm going to disappoint somebody. Maybe I'll motivate somebody. Like, the flip side of all of that is there, but only if you take a chance. And he said it very eloquently, but simply that kind of imagine we had the middle of the line and everybody's on a 0 to 10 or 1 to 10 scale. And in life, we go somewhere around a 5. And that 5 is like a comfort level. There's not too much failure. There's not too much success. There's not too much change. There's a lot of predictability. And that's okay. Most of us feel a comfort, like a satisfying cocoon of, hey, this is okay. Like, I'm not going to be outside of that comfort zone. But being outside that comfort zone allows for 2 things to happen: the great opportunities and the possibility of some difficult failures and challenges. You can't have one without the other. Meaning, if you don't take a chance, you can't achieve the amazing, wow, surprise, something that has more to offer than what you would have in that band of safety. And if you fail, you still have that opportunity of the upside. Like, just because you go down for a moment doesn't mean you can't go back up around a corner. Just don't stop. Just keep going. So like, it might get difficult. And you could translate this to life, to personal, to business, to anything practically. Just don't stop. Just keep going. Figuring it out and knowing that you have a goal, like, hey, I want to climb that mountain. I just have to get there. If you could just keep moving, around the corner is another opportunity for it to go in a different direction, whatever that is. And just keep moving. But be willing to take those chances, because then you could achieve the highs, and those highs surpass all the lows. Like, having a kid is very difficult. Nobody prepares you for the craziness that happens. I have 4 now. 3 is easy in my head today. Like, when I had 3, I'm like, 2's so easy. When I had 1, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much work. Like, this is another being you're responsible for. Like, holy crap. Having 4, I'm like, wow. 1 kid's out of the house. I'm like, 3's so easy. And it's just chaos all the time. Business-wise, you're like, what if we fail? Like, you always have doubt. And you're very close to some difficult decisions and amazing successes very often, because you don't have a blueprint that somebody else is telling you. You have to tell yourself and push yourself to do it and take a chance. It should be logical. It should be on the premise of some data or some confidence. That's some randomness, of course. Do I have a baby with some random person? Probably not. I do have a partner that's amazing, and we're going to move on to the next chapter in our life together and so on, and who knows what will happen. Same thing in business, but take that chance. And the amazing things can always and will always surpass the challenges. And I think that's just an amazing way to think about the day, what you want to do. Take those chances. Never be hesitant, or hesitant's okay, I guess, but never be against taking that chance, because you're going to miss out on the most amazing things, and the most amazing will surpass anything that's at the bottom of that scale, no matter what. Even if you get there, it doesn't last forever. Like, it will turn, just keep going. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my takeaway from that kind of an experience. And again, learning from somebody else of like, wow, that is just profound. But I could apply it in so many different ways. And I definitely try to, the best of my ability.
That's beautiful. You got a lot there, a lot to unpack, right? But the one thing that stood out to me is like the what if, right? It's like, what if we fail, but like, what if we don't, right? It's like, what if we lose all the money, but like, what if we 10x it? What if we start a family and it's super hard, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna be, but like, what if it's also great? Like, it's like, there's all these what ifs, but like, the what if is, there's a positive, there's a negative, right? It's like, but a lot of times we tend to focus on like the negative side, sure. But it's like, what if on the upside? And I think that's what sets people like us apart is like, you have to be comfortable with the risk. You have to be ambitious every day. Like you're dealing with numbers, doing commercial real estate and residential real estate and these different things. It's like you're dealing with large sums of money that are overwhelming for people. Probably people's yearly income. A lot of people you're seeing on contracts. So it's like, I think where my mind was going is like, how do you get comfortable with constantly making decisions that are high risk, constantly making decisions that are like sometimes stuff goes flip side. It's like it's a big deal. I mean, in air quotes, but how do you get comfortable kind of always dealing with that risk and being quick and confident in those decisions when they're like such high stakes?
The confidence definitely comes, from my perspective, with more experience. So I don't think, you're just born with confidence. I think you're born with a mentality of maybe being strong-minded, but you're making decisions based on your comfort zone. So if you never take yourself outside the comfort zone, you're not making decisions based on something that you could be tangible with. Like if I didn't start with something small, that bigger decision seems quite overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And I see I think there's a tremendous amount of value of taking small steps and having them add up to bigger things that all of a sudden build up a lot of your foundation. So like, going back to what you kind of mentioned, making difficult decisions, doing something that's outside or new or different has a lot of consequences. If you break that down into smaller pieces and you just gradually start making the little wins during the day, in life, I think that's where your confidence level builds up to say, okay, I know not every decision I make may be perfect, but I could make a correction. I could learn quickly. I could pivot and move in a direction where you're going to be more confident in making a difficult decision because you've done a lot before, but it could be a lot of little things. And like I find myself, when I interact with people that I'm inspired by and motivated by, I feel like they have a very good comfort level and confidence and passion in what they're comfortable with. And I love being around those individuals. Very often I have amazing people in my life that are just big people in my heart, not necessarily people who are an example on the business side, or maybe an example in some kind of an activity or a skill set, but they're just great human beings. They have a huge fear of doing anything new. And that person who's just really good at something, if I mention something else, they're like, wow, that's like completely foreign to me. I'm like, I can't wrap my head around it. But they're really good at what they do because they've done so much in that sphere. Whereas the people who I feel like are not so confident in doing anything outside the box, kind of like the individual in that 5-level playing field, like just that average, amazing human being, big heart. I mean, you just want to spend time with them and talk about life or whatever. But maybe their comfort level to be outside that realm is just zilch. If they would just realize that if you just take a small little decision, say, you know what, I'll make a decision today, about something. Tomorrow, that wasn't so difficult. I made it. It was okay. Tomorrow, I'll make 2 of those decisions. Should I get coffee? Should I get tea? Should I drive there or should I walk there? Should I, buy this thing or not buy this thing? Should I save? Should I not save? Should I talk to that person, go to that meeting? Should I not? Should I have a new friend today that I get to know, or is that kind of intimidating? Completely irrelevant on the big sphere of things, but they add up. And if you start taking those small little wins of things in your life and adding them up, you're like, you know what? I'm comfortable meeting a new person because it could lead to something great. I'm comfortable opening up and trying something new because I've done it 10 times this week and it worked out better than not most of the time. just doing something new gives you that confidence. I really believe in that. And today, there's a lot of decisions that have a lot of consequences for me. But the more I view them that I am sticking with like my values and morals and the integrity aspect, I know I'm making them for the right reasons. And I'm always trying to put the best interest of like the larger body at whole. So like if we could make a decision, what's best for the company? If that is the best decision for the company, it should be the best decision for everybody that's involved in that company, not for an individual. If it's the best decision for my family, it's not, the best decision for one of us in the family. It's the best decision for all of us. Like, should we do this? I think that then becomes the driving decision-making, like comfort area for me. Mm-hmm. And if I could make the decision that I think is the best because I had the confidence that it built up, it's a much more confident, determined like position that I'm sticking by and watching how it's going to unfold, mm-hmm. and then quickly making an adjustment if I feel I need to make an adjustment, mm-hmm. for some reason. But the confidence was not born; it didn't just magically happen. It happened over the course of time. And do I have doubt if something goes wrong? 1,000%. Like, man, maybe I should have done this. Maybe I should have done that. But I realized I did it for the foundational reasons. I try to move forward, reflect on it, adjust, and know that my intentions were the best that they could be. Not to benefit one person, but like benefit as many of the people that are involved in that as is applicable. And then that gives me the confidence to say, you know what, that's the right decision at the moment, and move forward with it. So this way, it's not a decision that maybe doesn't take into account the value of, or you trying to add value to other people, because that becomes more and more important to me. And that goes back to the karma. If we do that, good things will happen.
So there's a couple different aspects that you brought up there, which intrigues me, because my New Year's resolution this year was to come to quick and definite decisions, because I found myself overthinking a lot of times before a decision, contemplating after the decision. Like I sometimes it was overwhelming. You're sitting there staring at the ceiling. Sometimes you're laying in bed and it's like, is that right? Or like just overthinking, right? So one of my New Year's resolution was coming to quick and definite decision. You touched on a couple of different things there. Like the one is like the confidence is like not born. Like it's essentially trial by fire. Like you gotta put the years in, you gotta put the reps in to like feel confident, right? And like the only way to have confidence is like irrefutable proof. It's like to be able to actually have that experience. And then also like preparation, you kind of touched on like having the right context and information before you make a decision. And then also like thinking about the impact of the decision, right? Like whether it's your family or whether it's your business or like the employees, your people around you, your partner, or like yourself, right? It's like kind of like putting those things together. That's an interesting perspective on like how to make decisions. It's almost like a little checklist.
Yeah. I think the comfort for me is having a reference, like a checklist mm-hmm. in my head, where I could say, okay, does this, will my decision add value? Will my decision put something at risk that I cannot afford to risk? Like, can I risk the $10 I'm investing? Yes, I can. Am I going to put my entire life savings on black tomorrow? Not very prudent. If I knew I was going to win, maybe different, but I have no idea. But if I can afford to make that decision with the consequences that I could be accountable for, mm-hmm. and know that I'm making it for the right reason with the best information I have, and it doesn't have to be a guarantee. Like very few of my decisions are a guarantee that the outcome is going to be what it is, but they're very likely because of that checklist. That in my life gives me comfort to say, I'm doing what I feel is the best decision. I'm proud of it. I think the people around me are proud of it. And I could stand by and say, let's do this and see how it comes out, but not randomly either. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that checklist is kind of like a comfort for me mm-hmm. to have a little bit of structure and really try to make a decision that is nowadays prudent, because having employees, having business partners, having um, investors, having friends, having family members. There's some different levels of accountability for all that. And knowing that your decisions have a consequence one way or another is a good thing to put a moment of pause, perhaps, but not a moment of inactiveness, like a freeze. Like you said before, I think that's a great common situation to share, because, man, a lot of the decisions we made are first. I mean, all of them are first for the first time you make them. And until you do it once and you say, okay, that was now something I've done before, the next time it's a little bit easier. But until you do it, it's just difficult. So if you could go back and just kind of feel like, hey, this is for the right reasons, man, it's a much more confident decision, and the outcome of that is much more fulfilling at the same time. So it's good to be a little nervous, but don't freeze.
Yeah.
Like, take the action, especially when you're younger, realizing that not everything needs to have a game plan. It does not need to have a guarantee, but don't prevent yourself from making a decision as long as you go through some level of prudency. Like, it shouldn't be some random thing. I woke up today, I'm gonna, I don't know, go swim the English Channel. I don't know, whatever it is. Like, have you ever swam before? Not really. Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. But if you prepare for something and you have the best available information, confidence, etc., try. Amazing things can happen. So do not cut yourself short. Go for it. Go for it and work hard at it. And just give it the best you can.
So this is kind of like the wrapping up our talk. But do you have any messages for maybe like the younger people that are going to be stepping into roles of leadership or owning a business or stepping into that next phase of life? Like, what is one thing that you would leave with them to help them along their journey, something that's been really valuable for you?
I don't know if I could say one thing, so I'll try to very quickly summarize a couple. I would say integrity is very important. Have the values that you know are important to you and that represent you, whether you're verbalizing them or showing them, or they're just present through things that people observe. Just be consistent with them. 2, work hard. Like, nothing comes out of thin air. Even if you get lucky, you created that luck. Like, you created the opportunity for that luck to be present, not because you just fell out of the sky. Once you win the lottery, but maybe you have to have that dollar to buy that lottery ticket. So, like, there's some way you create the opportunity for that to happen. So work hard. If you believe in something, double down on it, put all your effort into it, and really give it everything you have for it to succeed. And then magic can happen. And then lastly, I would say, be comfortable to share in what you do with others. Whether it's one person, maybe it could be a partner in life, maybe you could be a partner in business, maybe you could be multiple partners or friends or whoever. The wealth of those experiences are going to by far surpass anything you could do by yourself. You have to find the right people, and it's a process, but along the way, different opportunities will give you different chances to meet and share and grow, and it's not always easy, but the outcomes can be exceedingly amazing. So put yourself in a position where you could find people to share that with, to collaborate and share the highs and the lows, because the lows are tough, but you'll get past them, and the highs are incredible, but if you have nobody to share it with, they're not as magical.
Awesome. And so I know this was your first appearance on a podcast, and you played behind the scenes a little bit. But where is it that people can get connected with you or your businesses, or like where would you like people to direct people?
I don't have a public domain that I operate on actively. Certainly on Instagram, a tiny bit. Our Almost Home brand is just amazing, and the partners that run that, especially Robbie, is an incredible personality and very, very visible in this area, and not just in Monmouth County, up north in northern Jersey as well. So that's one avenue. We have an amazing property hotel that we own with my partner upstate. It's in Wyndham, New York, called Hotel Vienna. We have some incredible and luckily successful real estate development projects in Jersey and in Florida. We also own real estate in New York, New Jersey, and in Pennsylvania that we're actively running, purchasing, managing, growing the portfolio. We do some construction, we do some investments, some angel investments, and supporting other entrepreneurs. So working with a lot of different people all over the country. And we're proud and lucky to have those opportunities and create those relationships. And I guess if you wanted to get in touch with me, if maybe somebody could reach out to you.
Yeah.
If somebody does and then they have any interest in asking a few questions or maybe sharing their story, and I could somehow connect with them and provide some insight into something that gives them a little bit of that confidence or clarity in some ways, or creativity, I'd be lucky and proud to be able to do that. So please, I definitely encourage that. But yeah, otherwise, if you find me on Instagram, M_Furmaniak, I believe is what it is. You can definitely reach out anytime and contact me, or if they reach out to you want to give them my number, always happy to help out and share my story of coming from overseas, from not much to be frank, at all, to building something that is a growing asset base and successful entrepreneurial track record, and we're doing so much more every year. It's something we're definitely proud to do, and I'd be lucky and happy to share more of that with anybody that may be interested. I don't know who may be, but if you are, that's that's awesome, because I do think a lot of people share the same concerns and challenges, and sometimes hearing something from somebody who's traveled a road that you're looking to maybe go down gives you a perspective that helps you move in that direction more and find the best in you to be able to do that with more confidence and clarity.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've appreciated our conversations. I feel like I've learned a ton just sitting and talking with you since we met initially at one of those investments that you had at the Hotel Vienna up in upstate New York, at a health and wellness retreat up there that you were hosting or helping host. And yeah, we didn't even get to touch on the fact that you're an immigrant from Poland, and it is an incredible story that you have and all this businesses and success that you've created, which is awesome. So I appreciate you sitting down with me, and I hope the viewers of this will get some value, and feel free to reach out to Michael and pick his brain, because I know every time I sit down with him or have a conversation with him on the phone, it's always very enlightening and intentional, and I do appreciate those perspectives. So this was the first episode of Quantum Leap, and I'm super honored to have you on here. It kind of inspired me just spontaneously in our conversation that we had over some breakfast a couple months ago, and here we are. So thank you very much. And yeah, that's it. So you can check out Michael. I'll link his Instagram in the description. You can connect with me on my channels, Cory Engelhart on all platforms, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. And this is the first episode of many. We're going to be talking to entrepreneurs, creators, artists about their life perspectives and their journeys and what makes them tick. So yeah, we'll see you on the flip side. We got more episodes coming. They're going to be releasing weekly. And thank you very much for being here, the audience. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers to many more.
Amen.